Today I opened up a YouTube tab in my browser and watched the Masked Man's new video about his top 50 manga. Great video by the way, Masked. If you ever see this, please read back and watch your zero. When he spoke about Oyasumi Pun Pun, he said, "This isn't a story you're supposed to enjoy, but still appreciate the brilliance of." At that point in time, I didn't know that that quote would deeply resonate with me when finishing a manga I by all means shouldn't have read, but at the same time, I never would have regret giving it a read, no matter how many times it made my stomach curl. This is the manga Inio Asano doesn't want you to know about. This is a manga about a girl on the shore. Warning, many topics that will undoubtedly disgust and possibly shake you to your core will be mentioned. You have been warned. It was as a normal day as ever, one so insignificant I probably wouldn't have remembered it and distinguished it as a day to never forget. Until this happened. I open up Discord and talk for a little while. I decide to go offline in a few minutes, but I get a message with me mentioned, telling me to read A Girl on the Shore. Now at that time, I was getting into a few new manga, being about 30 chapters into Hajime no Ippo, starting Pluto, as well as I had that same dream again. What was the worst picking up another 20 chapter long manga was going to do to me? All I knew was that this manga was written by the infamous Inio Asano, and that it was about middle schoolers starting a graphic relationship with no strings attached. I didn't research anything else, so I opened up my manga website, searched up A Girl on the Shore, and read the first few chapters. I am horrified. What I see is beyond comprehension. My mind has been stained and my conscience in ruin. I open up Discord again, asking what the hell was I recommended, only to be told it gets even worse. Since that moment, I hated and detested this manga, even thinking of making a video titled, "Don't ever read this manga, stay away from it at all costs," to spare others from witnessing what I had just read. Yet after binging and finishing A Girl on the Shore today in a 3-hour reading session, those feelings of disgust, of horror, and of pure hatred are gone. I feel something indescribable, an emotion of not joy or anger, but just contempt. I did not enjoy A Girl on the Shore, but it was absolutely brilliant in everything it chose to bring to life. The story follows Kisuke Isobe and Kome Sato, both in grade 8. After being used by a boy she liked in the 12th grade, Sato decides to use Isobe as a rebound and starts a casual sexual relationship with him. The story revolves around Isobe and Sato's relationship, as well as how it affects others and shapes their futures.
Bruh.
It really does sound horrible, doesn't it? So then, you may be asking yourself, Raffi, how is this brilliance at all? Let me elaborate further. High school in anime and/or manga is often painted as this beautiful place full of amazing opportunities with great people and just a little bunch of jerks. But I think even if we want to believe that idealistic place is real when consuming anime manga like that, we can't. When I was in 7th grade, I was preparing to go to high school like any 7th grader would be in South Africa. There was only one good high school in the area I schooled, with the rest being either dodgy or just mediocre at best. The high school I planned to go to was in a more than safe area, looked beautiful, and offered a lot of extracurricular activities. It seemed like the perfect school, but it only seemed that way. It couldn't fool me. Throughout my years in 5th grade and all the way up to 7th, I had a habit of befriending older kids. Why is that? Older kids were really cool, and the other reason, well, because the girls were hot. Now, after befriending kids older than me by 2-3 years, and even someone 4 years older than me, they would all be in high school, and not just any high school. They were in the one I was set to go to while I was still in primary school. I kinda had a front row seat to see what that school was actually like through their eyes and their social media updates. Let's just say behind the glamorous appearance, it's a school full of alcoholic students, some even smoking weed, and full of teachers who never gave one flying fuck to help them. You'd never expect this from the so-called perfect high school, would you? Now, I really have to commend Inio Asano as a writer because the way he painted high school and a girl on the shore was so very realistic. It's not this perfect place media sets it out to be. Many young teenagers fall victim to horrible things, and I think to have such a real grasp of the things, you have to experience it firsthand. So I really am impressed by how Inio Asano portrayed how evil high school could be, and I'm even more impressed that he decided to go back to that dark place and bring it to life through his manga. I sure as hell wouldn't be able to. High school and a girl on the shore is hell. The senpais aren't loving, they're jerks who use their kohais and smoke weed. The teachers feign ignorance and never truly get involved with students or help them. The friendships in the series are so fragile when reading it, I felt like they were going to fall apart any second now. And although that place sounds like hell itself, and probably no one would want to be introduced to it, the matter of fact is many teenagers are living in and being introduced to that world every single day. It's truly saddening. That's one of the reasons I can say A Girl on the Shore is brilliant. It has a great sense of realism. One almost too real. I can also say that the story is brilliant because of the problems it decides to tackle. You know, the evil nature of sex through how the senpais just use their kohais, loneliness through Isobe's character, the yearning for genuine connection again through Isobe's character, as he believed his family was just playing the role instead of actually being a true happy family, and especially through Satsu's character, we see her using sex as a coping mechanism, when deep down, it's as clear as day to see she doesn't really want to do it. It takes a whole lot of heart to tackle these ideas in a story, and once again, I commend Inio Asano for that. Now, before I move on talking about the characters, I want to talk about what was not so brilliant about the story, but although I hate to admit it, it was absolutely necessary to make this as impactful as it was. The questionable moments. I can't really describe them because my channel might get taken down, and I don't want to actually remember those moments. So first of all, there is CP, I'm not going to elaborate further. There is poop eating, and pee drinking, and I want to throw up. I'm sorry, I'm not going over anything else. Read it for the rest. I don't want to remember this. I'm done. I'm moving on. When talking about the characters, I'm only going to be focusing on the main two. I honestly couldn't care less for the rest, and elaborating on them could potentially spoil something, which I don't want to do. Kisei Isobe saved the series for me. He was the one character I didn't hate, and I wanted him to have a much better life than what he currently had. You know, in some slice of life anime, we have the trope where parents are non-existent in the story or just give their child a lot of freedom, but not in a good way. Isobe's parents are never home, but he's not an edgelord that enjoys that. He hurts from all the loneliness and wishes that his parents could be more active in his life. He clings to, well, jerking off as a coping mechanism to deal with the loneliness, and I'm not gonna mention any names, but I'm sure a lot of young teenagers can relate to that. I like how Inio Asano shows that, especially through Isobe's character, that illusionary temporary pleasures to lean on won't bring you any happiness. It's just an empty void that continues to get bigger the more you feed that little monster inside of you. You can keep lying to yourself and say you enjoy it, but if you had a chance to go back before you got hooked, you wouldn't make that same choice, would you? Of course not! Kisuke Isobe was the only character I was slightly fond of, and I'm sure many of you who have read or will try to read this will be sure to take a liking to him. Kome Sato, the main heroine of the story, was someone I despised. I saw as this parasite clinging to Isobe and making so many horrible choices, even when she knew it was wrong. But as much as I hated her, I felt sadness for her situation, and she was pretty well written. Her character was just a wild roller coaster of emotions, and it's really sad to come to the conclusion that what happens to Sato happens to so many younger girls in real life. It's heartbreaking. Now, at this part of the video, I'd usually give you some persuasive reasons as to why you should read this, like how I used to scam people on Omegle, but this time I want to say, you don't, by all means, have to read this. Don't let curiosity get the better of you like it did to me, and if it sounds horrible to you, then that's fine. But if you really want to give it a read, here's a heads up. Make sure no one knows you're reading this because the FBI will definitely come after you. And make sure you're mentally ready and mature enough to take it all in. Not to say I'm some all-knowing mature teenager, I'm just a heartless 14-year-old bastard who makes anime videos on the internet who isn't really emotionally affected by most things. Fucking Pancreas didn't make me cry. Some part of me even felt like laughing deep down. So in all seriousness, you don't have to read this. but if you want to, just be careful. Take care. That's about the end of the video, folks. Tell me what you thought of this one down below in the comments, as I'm sure I won't be very enthusiastic when recording this. And sorry for it being on the shorter side of videos, your boy's been pretty lazy the past couple of days. I've got much bigger and better videos I'm very passionate about coming out soon, so if you're new here, I highly recommend you consider subscribing and sticking around for this. I'm going to go all out this month with the uploads, so don't miss that. Link to the Discord server is in the description. That's the best way to contact me. Stay safe, remember to leap into space. I'm out. Peace!